Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Business Mentorship, Keeping It Real, where we're going to have a panel discussion today with the three keynote speakers who joined us in the Invest in Yourself workshop series. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Good morning. Hi.
I'm going to quickly introduce each of the ladies that are on the screen. So to the top right is Mia Jerritt, who's joining us from Comox, BC. Underneath Mia is Bonnie Flemington from Oakville. And right below me is Alexis Gladstone from Chicago. So we're in, what, 4 time zones here, ladies?
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
So welcome. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about collaboration because, you know, we've all participated in the Invest in Yourself series this fall. And some of the comments that we've heard from the participants has been all about those panel discussions when we have an opportunity to sort of sit and network and talk about various different things, questions that were relevant to each of your topics. So maybe I'll start with you, Bonnie. How did you find the panel discussions or the breakout sessions that we had in each of the series?
Yeah, the series so far has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed all of the participants. And during the actual presentation and keynote part of the segment of the session, everyone is very engaged in the content, but you really get to dig a lot deeper into not just the content, but the implementation of it when you hit those breakout sessions. And that networking piece in those breakout sessions is very important because this is where you really get to know people. And it's almost as though we're together, really, when you're in a small group like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I know, Mia, you sent me a wonderful email saying that you made some great connections with some of the ladies that were in your breakout session. So maybe you can speak to, you know, just how did that work? You know, you ended up reconnecting with those folks after the session was over.
Yeah, it was super cool because that's where I felt people were able to actually be quite vulnerable in not knowing the answers to whatever the questions are, because we're all coming into these masterminds with a fairly extensive skill set in our own area. So as soon as we broke apart into the small pods, I felt like that's where all the gold was, because you actually really got to know the other members of the breakout session. And from there, I mean, I really connected with a couple of them. And it's so funny to connect with someone virtually where you still energetically go, there's something about that person. I just want to know more about them. Right. So we basically said, well, let's get together afterwards. And we did. And we've a couple of them. I've had a couple of conversations, like 2-hour Zoom conversations. So I just felt like for me, that was where the gold lay, where it was really getting to know the people personally.
Right. And, you know, Alexis, maybe I'll ask you in terms of collaboration, because, you know, we've all met virtually. None of us are in the same city. You know, we've all connected either through some sort of social media channel, you and I included. And the really cool thing that I have found is that we've really been able to learn a little bit more about the person behind the logo. So tell us a little bit about how you have felt about connecting with some of these folks virtually and online.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, I know a lot of people are afraid. They're like, how do I make that connection? How can I do it? And it really is no different than doing it in person. And some of these, as Bonnie and Mia both said, you know, in those breakout sessions in our masterminds, there were some great things going on, but you're right. I mean, collaboration, if you make yourself vulnerable, if you reach out, if you're really authentic in yourself and start having these conversations with people and set up the Zoom calls, and what you and I have had multiple ones, you know, we first got to know each other a little bit professionally, and then we started having our little evening happy hours. And it's just a great way to start building those relationships, and you never know where the collaboration is going to come and what's going to come of it. You know, as you said, we're all virtual connections, and we were all part of your mastermind, which is fabulous.
Right. So ladies, I want you to share with our viewing and listening audience how you felt being a keynote speaker using an online platform, because, you know, all of us are speakers and all of us use the energy from the audience to sort of fuel the fire, if you will, when we're speaking. So maybe I'll start with Mia. How did you feel about doing your keynote virtual?
Well, again, I found the gold in it because I was able to have people in the workshop that I may never have crossed paths with because they were all over the place. And I don't think you can put a value on that. The reach is so much greater. We have access to sharing our information with so many more people. And it's so funny once you get started in your conversation, you forget that you're virtual.
Right. Right. What about you, Alexis? How did you find the virtual presentation?
I mean, I think when all of us who are speakers, when we had to switch from being live to going virtual, it took a little bit of adjustment, but I think most of us have really found our rhythm. We know how to get the energy within ourselves so we can share that energy with those who are listening on the other side of the Zoom camera. And then it's always so important, like we did, to have the questions, to have the breakout sessions, to have the interaction. So as Mia said, that gold, those nuggets and all the gold of the connections is where that energy now is transferred.
Right. Right. And what about you, Bonnie? How did you find speaking virtual?
Absolutely. I would agree that it takes a little bit of an adjustment, but I think for all of us, we've adjusted, whether it's us as speakers, but also the participants as receivers of information have adjusted to receiving it in a virtual fashion as well. And I know as a speaker, when I'm seeing the questions come up, or in the question period after, I really know that I've still made that impact as I would have had we been live. So, yeah.
So, ladies, let me ask you this question. How have you felt to just about, we're all going through some really amazing challenges in this year. And I'm sure we're all looking forward to flipping the page into 2021 for sure, hoping that, we'll be back to some sort of sense of normal. But tell me a little bit about what you liked best about the Mastermind Workshop series, because I'm very thankful that we've all been very supportive and collaborative. So even though you've all been keynote speakers in different months, you also attended each other's sessions. So what was that like as a participant in someone else's session? How did you feel about that? Alexis?
Well, I love learning. So being able to attend the other sessions was absolutely fantastic. So it's not only learning from Mia and from Bonnie and from you, because you also participated, but it's also learning from the participants.
Yeah.
And because we don't have all of the knowledge and all of the answers, there's so much more gold, and there's so much more information that's resident within the people who are attending, and that's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. What about you, Bonnie?
Yeah, I really do agree with that. I would say it was wonderful to receive the information. I had my notebook out and I was taking notes and thinking, okay, which of these am I going to implement? It's one of the things that I recommend when people are listening to mine is pick one thing and that you can take away. And so I try to do that when I'm on the receiving end as well. And I would completely agree that it's really about the implementation of the information. And so those smaller networking groups, as well as connecting with people after, is really where it was made special.
Right. What about you, Mia?
I would agree. I would say that it's such a gift to be in a situation where you're the teacher and the student at the same time. And that's how I felt both presenting and receiving the information. I loved each session. I was fortunate enough I was able to be in each session. And of course, that's how you grow.
Yeah.
Right. That's truly how you grow. If you're open to being the student as well as if you're the presenter at the time, that is where the growth happens.
Right. So if our viewing and listening audience is watching all three of you, and you know that we're going to put your workshops up on YouTube so that people can sort of participate, perhaps not in the live manner, but they can glean the information that you shared in each of your workshops. But for those that are kind of sitting at home and thinking, oh, wow, another Zoom meeting, I just don't think that I've got the bandwidth or the attention span to be able to attend another session. What do you think makes our sessions a little bit different than those others that you may have participated in this fall, that may give somebody that little piece of confidence to say, okay, because I know one of the participants in the last session sent me an email and said, I was so nervous. I didn't know what this breakout session was going to be. I'm kind of not a networker. I'm the wallflower in the back of the room that never really participates when I go to these things. I'm always looking for my friends to introduce me to somebody else. So for those people that may be a little shy, what kind of piece of advice can you give to them about the series as we move into next year? Alexis?
I mean, I think when the topic, if it resonates with you, go ahead and attend.
Right.
Make yourself vulnerable. Do something. If you are one of those people that it's a little harder for you to participate or you're not sure about it, use it as a time, it's virtual. Use it as a time to learn and grow, not only by taking in the information, but by participating in the breakouts, because that's where you're going to, as Mia said, learn and grow and get those nuggets and get those one things, as Bonnie said, the one thing you can take away.
Right. What about you, Mia? What would you say to folks who are a little apprehensive?
I would say that the Mastermind series was unbelievably intimate, which creates a level of safety, which allows you to be vulnerable and grow. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, it was very safe.
That's a really good point, because we keep the sessions really small, right? Like we keep the group small so that you do have that opportunity to interact. Bonnie, what would be your words of wisdom for somebody who's sort of sitting in the sidelines thinking, I'm not so sure I want to do this?
Yeah, my words of wisdom here would be to just allow yourself to take that chance, because this particular series has a balance of organization in terms of the information structure, but very in a relaxed format, and it felt very familiar and relaxing and comforting. And again, many of us who are introverts actually do allow ourselves that risk to be more vulnerable in those smaller groups, whether it's in the main presentation or especially the breakout groups. When you're down to very small groups, it becomes much easier to do that and comforting.
Well, ladies, I really want to send you my heartfelt thanks, because you all believe truly in collaborating, because this really was a collaboration. I remember talking to each of you throughout the spring and summer months when we were all kind of trying to figure out how to put this thing together. So I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the leap of faith to join me in the Invest in Yourself workshop series. I certainly invite you to continue to participate in our future sessions as former keynote speakers. And I really want to thank you and wish you all the best yourselves as you continue with your own keynotes for the balance of this year and moving into next year. So thank you very much. It's really been a pleasure to collaborate with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank you.
It was
Have an awesome weekend,
guys.
It was, yes, it was great. Thanks.